Welcome back to another episode of That Westville Podcast. Today we are joined by Joe Brando of Brando Funding Group. What's up, Joe?
What's going on? How are we doing today?
Good. Welcome to the studio on this beautiful fall brisk day. Mm-hmm. You like this time of year? Is it your jam? Or?
Yeah, I do. It's a nice transition because, it's too hot in the summer for me. I guess I'm a bigger guy, so
no such
I don't
thing.
really thrive. Yeah.
No such thing as too hot in the summer. No, I'm always cold. So, but this time it's like a nice October. It's not too bad.
Nice, brisk. It's like all the beautiful colors and stuff, the leaves, all that. It's very beautiful.
Yeah. I heard you just had a baby, so congratulations.
Thank you.
Your first one, right?
Yeah, it's the first one.
How's it going so far?
You want me to tell you like the real version?
Tell the real version, man. Like, as long as your wife's not gonna be mad at you.
No. I mean, my wife's the real warrior in the thing because it's a lot. I mean, it's great. It's fun. I mean, it's crazy. I mean, having a new life, like taking care of him, it's great. Just like holding him like a little football, talking to him, even though he probably doesn't know what I'm saying to him.
I feel like they feel vibes. They
definitely feel the energy. When I'm frustrated, when he's not going back to sleep, it usually kind of like works against me. So, I gotta have like this like zen when I'm holding him when he wakes up.
Just like, oh.
Yeah. I just gotta be like, please just go to sleep.
That's so funny.
Yeah, but other than that, I mean, he's great. I mean, for a baby, like he gets his 5 hours, wakes up once or twice, so I really can't ask for too much.
That's cool.
I mean, I've heard horror stories with other kids, so I gotta just be grateful for what I have.
Awesome. Well, what's it like to be a new dad and a business owner? Like, are you even more driven and motivated now to do what you're doing?
Yeah, I mean, look, it's crazy because once the kid's born. It's one. My wife is the one doing all the legwork, bearing the child and stuff like that. My job is very easy on that end. Mm-hmm. So once like the baby's like arrives, that's when like your life changes like that. Right. You know what I mean? And I really think, and I'm sure other business owners could relate. Like once like you have someone in your life like that, your life changes forever, and it motivates you more to like really want to. Have something where you could have your own time, where you can make your own schedule. So it's real rewarding. But he's a month old right now.
He's a little baby.
He's getting so big.
He's
getting so big now. He just outgrew his like first outfits.
Yeah, I know. So cute. I know.
Joe. I know.
No, it's definitely motivating.
Can we pause? I'm gonna cry.
Yeah. I love it. No, but people, they don't really understand that it's so easy to quit in business unless you have like a really good why or reason what you do. And because when it gets hard, it gets really, really hard. I'm sure you've had a few bumps in the road, and to have that motivation is I think like just imperative.
Yeah, no, it is for sure. And I got a great team at home, and that one is my wife. Like she's the number one superstar. That's with great. My business, motivating me with all the ups and downs, and then bearing a child. So she's the real MVP.
Cool.
Yeah. No, that's for sure.
Awesome. So let's talk about Brando Funding Group. So I didn't realize that people like you existed, and it was really important to me to get you on the show because I've been in a position as a business owner, especially with a restaurant, to need financing and not be able to get it from a traditional bank. So tell us a little bit more about what Brando Funding Group is and a couple of your services, then we'll get into some hardcore questions.
Yeah, absolutely. So we are in the alternate lending space. So we take a business that, might be a little bit unfundable and make them more fundable. So what we try to do is we try to take a look at their financing landscape where we provide a free consultation to see where they're at in their business. Look at their unique timeline and what they qualify for. Look at their revenue, look at what assets they have, look at their accounts receivable, and try to get very crafty with their unique situation to try to provide them with the best dosage of financing. I know you know dosages because you're a holistic person. So I'm sure that speaks well.
I like the term though for the funding because the way you were explaining it to me before, right? Now, you get a little bit of funding from this or from that, and it really is dosages. So that's cool.
Yeah, it is. And I worked before with a company that just sold one product, which was called the Merchant Cash Advance. And look, that is a great product. It is very useful, but you need to know what you're putting it to use for, and how many times you're going to turn that money around. And unfortunately, a lot of people in my industry get very nearsighted with that product because of the amount of how quick it provides a reward to someone like me. And when I mean reward, I mean in terms of
of course.
Pay.
Cha-ching.
Exactly. However, you want to be resourceful. You want to get crafty with the client because you want to treat it as your own business. Because at the end of the day, they're going to remember you, and you want them to, refer you. You want them to know that you looked out for their business.
Hell yeah. Wait, so go back real quick. Tell everyone what that type of funding is in case they don't know.
What?
The merchant.
So a merchant cash advance is a injection of capital based on your revenue. So it has very minimal STIP requirements. It doesn't require a very high credit score. It doesn't require, profit on your tax returns. And the time in business is very minimal for that type of product. Right. And one of the best parts about that type of product is that the delivery is immediate.
Yep.
And it's great, but at the same time, it's always good to ask the client, is there something else that they might be able to qualify for?
Right.
Like, are they able to maybe be funded by a bank first? Are they able to maybe use me as a tandem? So it's really important that me and my partners are able to look at their financing landscape to make the best decision for them. Cool. Because maybe you are fundable by a bank.
Right. Or
and
you could be.
You could be. You could be more bankable. And we're here to provide you with that answer.
Cool.
Because if you're happy with what we did with you for the traditional bank, it'll come back to us.
Okay.
And that's how networking works. I'm
sure
it's not news to you being what you do. I mean, I don't have to tell you.
Okay, so I have two questions for you, but real quick, I just want to give people an example of what that was. So like when I had the restaurant, and I was using Square as my merchant payment system or whatever, they would offer me quick loans and say, hey, here's $10,000. You can have it tomorrow at this insane rate.
Correct.
And there was times where I used it, and it definitely saved my ass a couple of times. So I think that's an example. Like maybe you're working with I guess a restaurant or like a retail store, places like that have like consistent income on a very easy basis, or even obviously bigger companies have invoicing and things like that, right?
Yeah, and like you said,
QuickBooks does it too, I think.
Yeah,
right?
QuickBooks does it too. They have their like embedded lending product. With me, what I try to do is I try to leverage my partners to give you a better rate, to make sure that I'm standing the lenders against one another, to make sure that you get the best possible outcome.
Right. So
you have a human being dealing with your revenue, dealing with that type of, how should I say it?
It's funny because as you were saying, I was like mapping in my brain. It's like, okay, like here's all the funding options. Then there's you, who's kind of like making sense of all the crazy bullshit.
Exactly.
Like, and then the person down here.
Yeah,
is like,
it's all about positioning. And again, back to the correct dosage.
Right.
Because a business owner might know of one or two of these products,
right,
which maybe could help them.
God, I only knew of one. I didn't know you existed, and I would have appreciated that.
Yeah. I mean, so it's really like, kind of like someone that is like directing traffic, like in the street.
Right.
I'm trying to direct you to the best possible option based on your unique situation.
Right.
So there are multiple products that I offer, and depending on what your financing landscape is, will determine what I think would work best for you. And then from then on, we will, have a further conversation, dive deeper into your revenue, your returns, stuff like that.
So, and that's cooler than like just going directly to the bank sometimes, because the bank has only their bank's interests, right? And they don't care. They're just like, if you're bankable, great, they'll give you a loan and they get paid and that's it. But you're really looking out for people who like may have 2 or 3 different options, and talking them through the numbers and going, this is what's going to be best for you in the short and long term. And, maybe people, whatever their decision is, might not be like the best for the long term, but if they need cash fast, then they can get it through you. And you're just explaining it better so people understand. Yeah,
exactly. I mean, it again, back to their unique situation. And, not to knock the banks are with their traditional loans. They're great. I'm not going to sit here and pretend that they're not going to give you a better rate. However, the banks are going to be a lot more diligent. Sometimes they might take a little bit longer. They might require more documentation, tax returns, and so on. However, it's good for people to know that aside from them not being able to be approved by a bank, we work in tandem with the traditional bank. So I don't want to, we are not just a company that's like, oh, you can't get approved by the bank. Come to me. I'll get you that quick cash. Boom. No, I want to work with, I want you to know, first thing I'm going to ask you, if you do qualify, I'm going to be like, did you try to go to a traditional bank?
Right.
No, I didn't. Okay, why? And then we kind of get further into the conversation, why you didn't go that route.
Right.
Are you trying to become more bankable? Okay, great. We could create a business plan to make you more bankable with the bank.
Yeah.
Okay, you don't want to wait 30 days. Okay, let's see what we could do for you. Let's stretch it out. And then in addition to that, I mean, even if you are with a traditional bank and you got a great line of credit, or you're waiting for the bank approval, we'll be able to provide a bridge for you while you're waiting to get approved by the bank. Or if you already have an existing position with the bank, and maybe you need extra capital, something came up or whatever, we'll take a second lien on that to provide you with more capital. Because the banks are a little bit more conservative with their approach.
Totally, yeah.
With their approval. Right. And, we want to provide options to those merchants that might need a little bit more, might not be approved. And again, stretch out your landscape to see what you qualify for best.
Cool. All right. So for the people who are newer in business, why don't you explain what being bankable means and how someone can become more bankable?
So being bankable means that you are able to be approved by a traditional bank. And what happens is, a traditional bank, they are overflowed with applications, funding applications. And the one thing they're going to do is they're going to look at your business plan. They're going to look at your projections. They're going to look at your suppliers and so on. There's many moving parts to certain businesses. And for the bank, they're going to look at the low-hanging fruit and they're going to approve what's going to be, easier for them and less time consuming. So with our bankability services, what we do is we will get an idea of your business plan, take all the documents that you have with your business, your suppliers, how many times your money could cycle, and we will create about up to a 50-page business plan.
Wow.
To submit to a bank to not only get you approved quicker, but also maybe get you approved for even more money than you initially had by doing this on your own accord.
Right.
Because owning a business is tough. There's a lot of moving parts to it. A business owner doesn't have time to think about what's coming from, you're the first, that from firsthand.
Oh, yeah, I know, getting my ass kicked, right?
Yeah.
You learn the hard way sometimes.
You get your ass kicked every day.
Yeah.
Let's help you get the ass kicked a little bit less. You know what I mean?
That should be your slogan. There you go.
Yeah, get your ass kicked a little bit less. Fun with us.
Joe Brando, ladies and
gentlemen. Brando Funding Group. Yeah.
Get your ass kicked less at Joe
Get your
Brando,
ass kicked less, fun more.
That's so funny.
But yeah, I mean, that's really the gist of it. So, depending on, what you're going through in your business, we will be happy to sit down and do a consultation. And even if I can't myself provide services with myself, like with what I offer, I'm more than happy to have a conversation and really try to steer you in the right direction, because the community is everything, giving back. Even if I can't find an answer for you, I'll do my best to find you an answer.
See, man, and that's what it's all about. People,
that's what it's all about.
Yeah, you gotta build it and stay in touch with people, because you never know, right? Like someone might not need the funding, right now, or a year later, they do, and to be the guy that they know they could call and rely on is super valuable. Like I think everyone should know who you are. Like now where I am, it took me 7 years in business, again, getting my ass kicked and learning and not understanding the money side. Like I was really good at what I did, but I wasn't great at money and business in the beginning. And so I didn't have any mentors at the time. I didn't have anybody to kind of explain things to me. Or a lot of people explain things incorrectly. It was other small business owners who didn't quite know. And it's they weren't the experts. I needed somebody like you. And even now, right? It's even in this business, it's I don't need funding right now, but I'm okay, I know if I want to take X, Y, and Z to the next level at some point, I'm going to have to, I might need a cash infusion. And it's okay, well, now I know to call you, because you're going to be able to look at my stuff and just take all that pressure and that stress off of me having to figure it out for myself, which is the most valuable thing, I think.
Yeah, exactly. And it's at the end of the day, it's figuring out what's going to work best for you. And I think advice to give to all business owners is look, you're not going to be all things to all people, maybe their first or second go around, but be that connector to really help steer them in the right direction. Totally. And that's kind of what, we stand by with Brando Funding Group. We want to be able to help people, even whether it's directly or indirectly, to have a place to know that, okay, they're going to look after our financing and our unique financing landscape and steer us in the right direction, even if it's not them doing it directly. And that's what, it really comes down to the community.
Right.
It really comes down to, helping people, because maybe I don't help them right away. They're going to remember that you tried to, give them advice,
I like you so far. I think you're a good guy with good intentions. And I'm sure that's hard to come by in the funding field. I'm sure people are used to predator loan people and all that crazy stuff. And it's like, no, there's some good people.
Yeah. I mean, look, this business, for sure definitely gets a pretty bad reputation. I'm not going to say where I've worked or anything like that, but I think the bad things that have happened working in this business that I've witnessed firsthand, some of the opportunity, some of the the good things, I was able to really mesh together my company to create it the way I want it to and how I want to help people. So that's really the gist of it, and we're continually learning. We're continually trying to be more crafty with clients, and really, my goal, I want you to make as much money as possible.
Right.
Like, that's my goal. Like, at the end of the day, I want my client to be in the best position possible.
Totally. So you were talking about different products before. Like, what are some examples of products, right? You mentioned the merchant loan, and then obviously traditional loans from a bank, but what else exists?
So, I mean, yeah, like I said, aside from an MCA, there are so many other options that business owners can qualify for depending on their situation. So, for example, we do offer equipment financing. Mm-hmm. And, equipment financing is great. If let's say you own a medical facility and you want to buy an MRI machine, and perhaps you already are with the traditional bank and you're financing multiple equipment with the bank, and you maybe want to get more equipment, or maybe you want to get an older piece of equipment that works great, but the bank's not willing to really fund that. We'll come in there and be able to potentially be able to finance that equipment, whether it's older through a private lender, or maybe, you just don't qualify it with the traditional bank.
Right. Why don't banks want to fund an older used piece of equipment?
Again, banks are a little bit more conservative in terms of what they like to look at. And what's really worth it for their time.
Interesting. Right. So just because it's not as much money, they might not want to do it?
It's that. It's also the risk as well, with something that might be 10 to 15 years old piece of equipment. Or, if they're buying something that's just used, most banks don't like to touch used equipment.
Really? Interesting.
Yeah. And also, let's say the client just doesn't qualify in general.
Right.
Even if it is new equipment,
Gotcha.
Yeah, exactly. So it just really, everyone's situation's different. And, I'll be the first to tell you, if you come to me and you say, hey, I'm looking to finance on equipment, I'm going to say, did you go to the bank? I want you to go to them, right? Because they're going to help you with the best rate possible.
Right.
And I'll always be there for your tandem. I'll always be there if you can't get approved.
Right.
So, I think that's one thing that people kind of have a bad taste in their mouth with the alternative, the commercial loan brokers, because they're always kind of just trying to get you approved.
Yeah, right.
And it's more about community to me than anything.
Right. Yeah. So you're again more of in a consultative role where you're sitting with someone going okay, here's what's my opinion on what you should do, but you do what you got to do, kind of thing. We could get you approved in any sort of way that makes sense for you, but. That's what, again, I don't think people can understand how valuable that is until you're in the position and you're sitting there pulling your hair out being like, I don't know what the fuck to do right now. Do I just take this really bad loan over here at this high rate, or but the idea of being okay, you have good credit, you have sales, but I have no idea how to do a business plan, and I'm probably bankable, but I have no idea how to get from A to D in that one. It's to have someone like you hold our hand.
Yeah,
just,
exactly.
Really cool.
And then again, that's a great example. Then let's say that they are on their route to become more bankable, and maybe they have to wait 30 days. And they're like, you know what, Joe, we're on to something great. We're going to get approved by the bank. It's looking great, but I need something in between. That's an example of where we could come in and provide that bridge. And then moving on just to other types of, financing, depending on your business. We also do accounts receivable financing. So right now is, let's say you're a business that invoices people a lot, and you want to you build people, but you give them terms. You give them 30, 60, 90, up until 90-day terms. But you might be in a little bit of a cash crunch. We will go ahead and find a partner to pay for that invoice for you for a percentage of the sales to give you the ability to have, more cash on it.
Right. Yeah.
And then in addition to that, like I said, the MCA, the accounts receivable financing, the equipment financing, the business plans. And then also, we also do alternative, we also do lines of credit, revolving lines of credit. So again, if you're with the bank and you have a great line of credit with them, maybe you need a little bit more. We'll take a look and see if we could get you another line of credit. Right. Or if you're not able to get the line of credit from the bank, whether it's your time in business, credit, or lack of assets, we'll also be able to work with you there and steer you in the best possible
You hear all these crazy stories like on TikTok and stuff, and people are like, just like take out all these loans off credit cards and start Airbnb and like all this stuff. And like people have no idea how money works. And like, yes, you get access to funding, but like, is that the best scenario for you? Is that the best thing to do? And I think people are really short-sighted. And sometimes I get it. Like I've been there where I'm just like, I don't care. Like I need this right now and I'll pay for it later. It's fine. But like once you're in business for a little while and you want to be strategic, you want to be like planning ahead and looking ahead. And that's, where I've come to be now. It's like, having somebody like you in the back pocket where it's like, you know what, I don't think I need the money in the next month. So you're not scrambling and, getting like a crazy interest rate, but you're like in 6 months to 12 months, like I want to, do this in my business, and they can come to someone like you and like actually plan it out and not have it be this stressful, horrible.
Yeah, it does not. It shouldn't be this stressful. And right? I think what we do is we sit down with the client and we get an idea of what their revenue is, how they bill, what type of equipment, how much equipment they have, and depending on their unique situation, will determine what I think will be the best possible solution for them.
So, and you also do the credit repair too, right? Like, or you have credit repair partners.
We have partners that could also assist in credit repair. If
someone's in a shit storm, you could be like, listen, like, I don't know.
Yeah, listen, you should probably do that. So yeah, it's really just all types of funding. It's really, helping the client, go where they want to go. Yeah. Go where they want. How should I say it? Meet them where they are.
There you go.
And fund them where they want to go.
All right. So before we wrap it up, give me your last piece of advice for everybody out there.
My last piece of advice: always take the path of least resistance. Always take the road less traveled. If you want to really make a difference, if you really want to stick out, you have to be different. You have to be willing to put others, and their needs ahead of your own, right. Because if you do the right thing and you really enjoy it, the money will come to you.
Yeah, 1,000%.
And if you constantly think about how am I going to get paid? How am I going to make sure that I get this done for myself? That's kind of when you lose touch of the whole idea of why you wanted to be in business.
Right. Yeah. Exactly.
And I think that if you have what other people's needs in mind and helping them first, I think that's really the key to success, not just for me, but for anyone in business, for sure.
Yeah, I think we definitely forget about that sometimes as small business owners. We just get, like, we go into it with that intention and then we just get, caught in the day to day, and then we get stressed about making money, and then we forget, that kind of mission. And then if you're lucky enough to be in it long enough, if you make it through, then you kind of circle back and go like, oh, like this is how I got to be so successful, is by building those relationships.
Yeah, it's literally, you nailed it on the head. Relationships, because you're not going to be able to be all things to all people. But if people could see you as like a trusted advisor,
right,
you feel like you're a little bit more of an asset to them than just someone that's going to do that one service for them and then set it and forget it for them.
Totally. All right, Joe, tell everyone where they can find you, how they can get in touch with you, and all that good stuff.
So you can find me on Instagram at Brando Funding Group. You could DM me, or you could go to the website at www.brandofundinggroup.com. You could apply for an application, see what you qualify for. Or if you have questions before applying, you could call me at the number provided at the website. And yeah, it's pretty simple. You can call me, ask me anything, and
That's it.
Hopefully we could help the business thrive for sure.
Yeah. So again, guys, if you're a new business owner, if you're thinking about starting a business, if you're experienced, then, you know, thinking about an expansion or something, like don't wait, kind of, you know, get an idea of what you might need and talk to someone who's an expert in this stuff. So Joe's your guy. And thank you so much for coming on and educating us. Appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
All right. See you.
Take care.